Okay, welcome to the show. This is TED Talks Too Much. And we've got a great one for you today. I'm Ted Moss, ex-waiter at a sorority house, stand-up comedian, and your host. We are located in the OK Boomer Studios just outside of Flint, Michigan. That's right, Flint, Michigan's water wonderland, where they're still wondering when they'll get some clean water. But while we all wait for that to happen, let's talk. And on today's show, we're going to be groundbreaking. Our guest is our first lady comedian. She hails from a small town and produces big shows. Knowing absolutely nothing about stand-up comedy, she has taken her sense of humor and drive and turned it into a business. We'll be back with Melissa Hager right after this. All right, before we start the show today, I want to talk to you a little bit about the coronavirus. A lot of people are upset, but don't you worry. Things could be worse. Just remember, before it ends, don't go out and see your friends. That's right, just stay at home. Enjoy your family. Hunker down. Now you are going to run out of toilet paper. And I know you're worried about that. Let me help. You think you can't afford a bidet? Think about it. You got a public bidet down at the corner. You got some quarters? That's right. Grab the whole family. Head on down to the corner to the car wash. Give them all a spray today. Take Uncle Ray, give him an extra spray, make his day. He'd like that. In the meantime, listen to TED Talks Too Much. Me and my friends will be here working hard to make you laugh. You keep it clean, we'll keep it funny. Listen and share TED Talks Too Much. And before you know it, this too will pass. And now, on with the show. So I'm super excited about the guest we have in studio today. She's just a farm girl from a teeny town next to a small city that has taken her upbeat sense of humor and never-ending drive and has turned it into a thriving business, providing entertainment for thousands of people. She's just got to be one of the happiest people I know. And you know what? I'm just thrilled to have her with me in studio today. So let's give a great big OK Boomer Studio welcome to my good buddy, Melissa Hager.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Melissa. I am so glad you're here.
I am super glad I'm here.
Matter of fact, I didn't even think you were going to come.
You didn't?
No. Well, you know what? It's hard to get people to come out during the coronavirus.
It is. It's kind of a thing right now.
Yeah, and I'm kind of an old shady guy.
Living on the edge.
You notice how sickly I'm looking at this moment?
I noticed the dark circles under your eyes.
I know. He's
I wasn't
going to
say anything.
His immune system's broke down. You are with the wrong person, girl.
You have to know that I'm probably infected. So the fact that you even let me in your house, I'm surprised.
You know, Billy Reno does that joke at the end of his set, and he says something about that he was tested for STDs. And he said, I'm just saying that because I'm willing to catch anything you got, you know? So in this case, that's not true, though. I don't want to catch whatever you have.
I don't want you to either.
Yeah.
I don't want you to. I did do shows last weekend, then that was the end of it.
Yeah. How big were the shows?
Friday wasn't very big, but Thursday was sold out and Saturday was sold out. So it's just... But I live up north in Michigan in a little nice pocket where there's still no confirmed cases. So I'm hopeful.
Maybe they just aren't testing.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, you're all sick. You just aren't talking about it.
That just seems to me that my nose is running.
That's okay. It's very attractive.
Is that the first sign?
Yes, that's the first sign. We're going down, folks. We're going to die right on the air.
Here we go. I'll let you know in 14 days.
Well, we should explain things first. Mm-hmm. You're a lady that does stand-up comedy in Southeast Michigan, but you also produce a number of shows.
Northeast Michigan.
You're in North. Good God, have you ever been to the UP?
Yeah, I guess
you're
right.
in the Thumb? You're in Frankenmuth, for God's sakes. You're barely north of Flint.
Southeast, I think of like Detroit and St. Clair, and isn't that Southeast?
You know, it takes 9 hours to get from here to the tip of Michigan. Did you know that?
Okay, yeah.
How long does it take to get to your place? Maybe an hour?
Let's call it mid-Michigan. How about that? We'll just go.
Everybody wants to disassociate themselves from Southeast Michigan. You know what? That's why they call it West Michigan.
Right.
They don't want to be in it with the rest of us. Like, you people are, we are part of them.
Yeah.
We're West Michigan.
Not me.
Anyhow, Melissa, you do a lot of shows. How many shows do you do?
Well, so I started a company called The Comedy Series, and the whole thing was started to give me something to do once every other month or so. That was going to be the plan, but
you were bored.
We have we called it a comedy club that doesn't like, we're homeless. We're a homeless comedy club.
Okay.
But really the technical word is traveling. So we go to different bars and restaurants and help them bring in extra income by selling food and drinks.
Sure.
On nights that they wouldn't otherwise have a lot of people there.
Right.
So it was beneficial to everybody.
Right.
And it gave us a place to do comedy, which in mid-Michigan, there isn't a lot of places. There wasn't at the time.
Yeah. You know, when I did your show, the only time I was invited to do your show,
you won a contest.
I know.
Very
winner,
exciting.
winner, chicken dinner. We're never having you again. Thank you, Melissa. But we were in a wonderful theater. What was it in Frankenmuth? What was the name of that place?
Fisher Theater. It was actually built in a super religious town for people that wanted to do something that wasn't associated with the church. That's the whole point of that.
Like tell dirty jokes. Yeah.
That was the whole point.
This is totally not associated with the church. Let me tell some dick jokes. Welcome to my nightmare.
Exactly. There you go. Perfect.
No, that was a great show. Honestly, one of the best managed shows I've ever been in.
Aww.
Well, and I'm not saying that just to stroke you. Not that I wouldn't want to, but honestly, you guys, you had backstage, you had food for us to eat and beverages for us to have.
Yeah.
You had a professional stage with a professional backdrop, good lighting, a wonderful little theater, packed audience, all there to laugh. You were managing the crowd with people. You were managing the sound with somebody else. You were hosting the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a professional show.
Oh, thanks, Ted.
No, it was wonderful.
It's important to us. Like, it's very important to us.
No, I know. I got up there and I thought, no wonder I'm never invited to this thing. This is totally out of my league. Honestly, it was probably the most professional show I've ever been on.
Very cool. Thank you.
I was on a really good one out in L.A.
Yeah.
And it was a professional stage, and the guy had been on, I don't know, some special on TV.
Yeah.
So it was good comedians and it was a good stage, but it wasn't better run than your show.
Oh,
I really liked your show.
That makes me feel great.
Yeah.
Well, Abby and Adrian, two of my best friends, they jumped on board with me right from the beginning. And then Abby's husband, Jeff, is our sound guy.
Oh.
And they have been amazing. So we went from once every other month to once a month to now, up until the coronavirus thing, pretty much Thursday through Saturday or Sunday every week we're booked. And so now not everybody's at every show, and we've trained a couple new people, but I always have one or two people with me to help with the crowd, because if the audience doesn't have a good time, they're not going to come back.
Right.
And beyond the performers, the audience is so important that it's a great setting for them. Someone's got to turn down the lights. Someone's got to take the tickets. Somebody's got to seat them so that the front doesn't end up empty.
Right.
You know, that all that stuff. And if someone's talking and loud, someone's got to go stand next to them and get them to shut the hell up.
I know.
You know?
No. You know what? Every show should have that. I think it's wonderful that you've thought that through, and probably because you're a stand-up comic and you've been through bad shows.
Right.
I remember first time I went to Grand Rapids, and they do a weekly show there, the Sunday Night Funnies, and Brian runs it, nice guy.
Yeah.
But the audience was seated, so there was a big gap in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
I was performing to 5 empty tables in front of me, some to the left, some to the right, and some in the back.
Yeah.
And it just made it hard. And
that's a bummer.
Yeah, Joel, in his class, he talks about that. Part of the job is seating the audience properly. So they'll get the most out of the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, anyhow, I had a great time.
Good.
And I was lucky enough to have a good set. And I don't know why, but they were with me on that journey. And that doesn't always happen with my style.
They loved you. They loved you.
Poor vision, bad judgment. What a crowd. My kind of people.
Not the case.
Well, let me ask you this. How did you get in comedy? Tell me, hold it. First, let's talk about your background, who you were growing up, where you grew up, and how it evolved to bring you to the point where you're doing stand-up comedy before you were producing shows.
Well, some people would say I'm the most unlikely stand-up comedian, and some people would say, wow,
Really?
We've been waiting for you to get into this. So
Yeah.
what took you so long?
Yeah. Well, you're kind of a upbeat, funny person. You laugh a lot.
Yeah.
You got a great personality. I would think you'd be a natural.
Well, I was in high school. I was the best. Well, actually, grade school. It all started in grade school. My grade school principal still has like PTSD from my April Fool's jokes. And that was just always a thing. That
What did you do? What did you do?
The worst one I did is I took her car and we took it.
Hold it, you're in elementary school?
Yeah, well-
and you took her car?
Well, I grew up on a farm.
How old were you in elementary school, Melissa? Just saying.
Good question.
I think this is illegal. This is a crime.
So by 10, 11 years old, I started driving tractors because I grew up on a farm.
And you were working. You were actually
farm.
working
yes,
the farm.
I was a hoer. I loved hoeing.
Oh, my God. We could go places with that. Thank you.
Put your money away
All right.
in a field.
Yeah.
I was hoeing in a field.
Yes.
And so I was of the last couple years where you could get a farmer's license at 13 years old.
Oh, to drive.
So I could drive a vehicle up to 50 miles as long as it was for farm purposes.
At what age?
13.
Oh, my God.
13.
Oh, my God.
Can you believe that?
I would have dated you just to go parking. Get your mama's car. We're going.
We're out of here. So I was still in 8th grade, and it was
my
like,
gosh.
April Fool's is coming. Yes. So I took the principal. She had an open door policy. I went to a small private school, which made it worse. We were supposed to be super Christian,
Yeah.
And so I went and visited her that morning and good morning. And I got her keys off her desk. And then I took her car and we moved it.
Hold on. Were you visiting just to get the keys? Did you
Yes.
know that was the idea?
Yeah, that was the whole
plan. And the
plan.
keys just happened to be on her desk, not in her
they
purse?
They just always were laying there on her desk. There was just, and then I even managed to get them back in there.
Oh, you kind of studied this up front, didn't you?
Oh, I did
you
homework.
You were plotting.
Yeah.
Good God.
So all I did was move it around to the other side of the school and behind a shed, whatever. So
and underneath some hay.
And now I had, what did we have? Track practice after school? I had practice and I told everybody, I was like, everybody get to the front of the school and watch Mrs. Bickle come out.
Oh, God.
And she walked out with her keys in hand.
Oh, my God.
And she's just looking around and you could just see the color in her face leave, and it's just like, where's my car? Then she went in, then she came back out, then she went in and came. It was crazy.
Did you film this?
It was
This was before cell phones and stuff,
it
isn't
was.
it? So, yeah.
I wish. We barely had VCRs.
Oh, God, it would have been so hilarious to
it
film
would
this.
have been awesome.
That's hilarious.
So every time I hit some new level of success or some new thing happens, she's always like, yeah, we figured.
Yeah. I figured you're going to do something crazy.
Yeah, so that was one of my best ones. But my dad, ever since I was little, me and my dad, April Fool's Day was just the day that we would spend. I mean, he had me arrested one time. The police came and arrested me.
Oh, I love your dad.
And I was bawling my eyes out.
You were crying, and he still let him just take you away.
Exactly.
What a mean man.
Know,
oh, my God.
Terrible.
This is a farmer.
My mom and dad,
whatever.
My mom and dad went through a horrible, bitter, nasty divorce. And I lived in the little house that my mom got while they were getting a divorce. I lived there in April Fool's one day. One year, I called him that my mom had gotten a letter that there was a paper that was unsigned, so they were technically still married, and that she needed to get in right away to sign this paper. And I heard my dad say words I had never even heard before. Like, they were all in German. And I know they were swear words. He was so upset, he hung up on me. And then I thought, oh boy, he's going to call his lawyer. I better get on this. So anyways, that's just been a thing.
Yes.
Our whole life. So my senior year of high school, I was asked to run for class president, and I really didn't want to do that. They're like, "Oh, come on, you put on such a great prom last year.
Yeah,
you need to do this.
You're a natural promoter. You really are."
They're like, we need you, and I said, And then the class advisor, I don't know how she knew this, and no one else knew this about me, but I didn't know it even about myself. She said, "Listen, Melissa. There's 3 people at graduation that get to give a speech. The valedictorian, the salutatorian, and the class president."
Aha. You can get up and talk.
Yeah, I lit right up.
This.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. So then I ran and I won. And I remember I worked that whole entire year on that speech, the whole year, because I wanted people to laugh and I wanted them to cry, and I wanted it to. I practiced it on my family 100 million times.
How long was the speech, for God's sake?
I gotta find it. I have it somewhere. I need to find it, because I wonder if it was really even as good as in my head I think it was.
Maybe you shouldn't find it. Maybe right now you're a hero. You're gonna go to 0. Like, career. What the hell? Yeah, I sucked. I was not funny at all.
She was awful.
You know what? Well, I just came across my first set I ever did in stand-up comedy, and I was awful. I thought I was very funny and charming. Not so much. I thought, what? How you really said this shit?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that people in comedy have similar backgrounds. I was president of my class in 6th grade, and I had to give a speech at graduation.
Yeah.
And it didn't bother me a bit.
No.
It was like, I like doing this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Actually, when I was in 1st grade, I got in trouble. My parents went to the parent-teacher conferences, and they came back, and I got in trouble for lying.
Oh.
Well, it turns out that when they let you do show and tell in 1st grade, eventually you run out of things to say.
Oh, boy.
So I was just making shit up.
Oh, boy.
I was like, I want to get up and say something.
Yeah.
But I think by nature, like you, they say, hey, you want to talk? And you're like,
yep.
Hell yeah. Because I think I'm entertaining.
Yeah.
Whether you do or not.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I actually, when you're in high school and you start going to all the career days and all that stuff, I actually thought that I was going to I wanted to go into radio. That was the first thing I wanted to do.
Sure.
And then I remember at a career day, I found out how much money they made, and I was like, well, that's not going to work. So then I decided, and I've always been a writer. I have tons of when I was in 2nd, 3rd grade, I started writing little short books.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I have never read a book front to back. Still, this is so embarrassing. I'm 37 years old. I have aced every single book report I've ever done, and they've all been made up books. I have never read an actual book.
Really?
It's awful.
That is awful. That's how I was when I went to college.
Yeah.
Turns out I'm dyslexic and can't read.
See, I have a problem reading.
Well, you know what? I will read, and then after a paragraph, I'll go, I got nothing
What
of that.
did I say? Yeah.
Yeah. You might be dyslexic and don't know it.
But I'm a great writer. I can definitely put a story together.
You think you are because you can't read the shit you wrote. Actually, you suck.
When I was in 11th grade, I almost got busted by our English literary teacher, whatever she was. She gave me my book report back, and she said, "This was excellent. I would like to read this book."
And you just fucking made up the book?
I was like, you would? She goes, "Please let me borrow this book. I can read it in a weekend. I promise you, I love reading. Please bring this in on Monday."
That's hilarious.
I was like, oh my God. So then
so you got to go home and write a book now.
I'm like freaking out. I come back to school Monday. She's looking for it. I said, "You're not going to believe this, but my grandma had a house fire last year. This was actually one of her books in her
couldn't
attic.
have lost it. It had to go down with Grandma.
It went down in a house fire.
Was Grandma still alive in the story?
Because
Grandma died clutching the book.
Then I probably would have been busted. I had to be at least truthful with something.
Isn't this your grandma right here?
I just talked to your grandma. But yeah, so that was always... So then I was going to be a writer, like a newspaper writer and a radio person. I thought together, then I'll make enough money, not realizing that would cost me 16 hours out of every day.
Yeah, right.
So when I got out of high school, I just didn't. I ended up meeting a guy and I got married. He had a sales business and we had a bunch of sales companies. And that's what I did for a while until I decided to start real estate. And I did real estate for 15 years. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, you'd be good in sales.
Yeah.
But how did you end up doing stand-up comedy? At some point, you had to stop and think, I'm fucking funny. At least I think I am. Where do I go?
Well,
I mean, how did that start?
If you look at my customer list through my real estate career, it definitely was all these very fun, happy families. I didn't do well with the serious people.
Yeah.
And those people are the ones that spend the most money. So my average sales price stayed pretty mediocre just because serious people didn't take me serious, so it didn't work. But my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary, which would have been like now, it would have been almost 12 years ago, 13 years ago. They wanted the grandchildren, the kids wanted the grandkids to put on like a little skit or a play.
Right.
And I was all pumped, and I'm the oldest grandchild. They're like, Melissa, you're in charge. Get your cousins together and do something. Well, no one would do anything. They were all shy.
No performances.
Nobody wanted to do anything. And I said, you know what? I'm going to roast Grandma and Grandpa. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call my great aunts and uncles. I'm going to get some info, and we're going to roast Grandma and Grandpa.
And you're going to talk shit about the grandparents.
Yep. They're going to be sitting
Happy
right
anniversary.
there. Yeah. Why not?
Here's some shit about Grandma and Grandpa you didn't know.
And it was. I did find some shit
my
out.
God.
And it was only supposed to be 20 minutes. It was supposed to be a 20-minute thing. It turned into 45 minutes of me talking into a little karaoke machine with a cord that was like 2 foot long. So every time I got excited and moved around, I almost yanked the machine off the table. And everyone was laughing and crying and wiping their tears. And afterwards, my great uncle Matt came up to me and he said, Melissa, that was like something you see on Comedy Central. I am not even joking. Why aren't you doing stand-up comedy? And I was like, what's stand-up comedy? Like, I didn't even, no, we didn't have cable when I grew up, so I never got to watch.
You had never seen stand-up comedy?
No, the only stand-up comedy I had was when I was younger, we had a cassette tape of Bill Engvall, Here's Your Sign. Oh, and we listened to that over and over. Me and my brother, when we were like riding around in the tractor, we'd laugh our butts off. But I didn't know that he was a stand-up comedian. Like, I didn't understand that's what he was.
Right.
And like Tim Allen, I had seen him on TV before, doing stand-up, but I thought it was a script someone wrote out, and he's just reading it really funny.
Right.
So then 7 years go by.
This is a long freaking story, folks. Sorry about that.
7 years go by.
This is how she is.
And a friend of mine is throwing a party at her mom's bar for her 20th anniversary.
So now you're at a bar.
Now I'm at a bar, and she wants me to roast her at her party.
Okay.
And it ended up turning into 45 minutes of comedy. Basically crowd work with a little bit of planned out stuff. And then, now this is 7 more years I've had this like thought in my head. Yeah. And then that happened, and I was like, okay, now we're doing it. It's happening. Right. Let's just figure it out.
So you started with crowd work.
Yeah. 40, like an hour.
That's the opposite of most people. Most people just write jokes and then get up the nerve to interact with the crowd. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's great.
I have it all recorded. It is, again, I thought I killed it. They all loved it. But when you listen to it, you're like, oh, God.
Well, you know what? I think when you're talking about things that are actually happening in the moment, that it's always a lot funnier. Mm-hmm. It's better received.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's just,
and that's where you started.
Yeah. Yeah, and my friend Carla, she was like, you have to do that more.
So did you eventually go out to open mics then? Was that the next step?
No, the next step was I booked a theater, and I decided to start running a show.
Holy shit. I don't care what everybody else in the world is doing. I am funny.
I didn't know what everyone else was doing. I didn't know there was anyone even around us doing it. That's how naive I was. I just didn't know. It's not because I thought I was better than anybody. Yeah. My mom.
You were just making up your own path because you thought, I want to go down there.
Yeah. My mom lives in Clarkston, Michigan, which is only a half hour from the Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle. Sure. The best comedy club possibly in the United States.
One of the top 10, certainly.
Is for sure. Yeah. And my mom said, you know what? Let's go to a comedy show at a comedy club that's been around a really long time. Right. And I said, okay. I had never seen live stand-up ever.
And who was there? Do you remember who was there?
Yep. Dave Landau was the headliner.
Oh, Dave's great. Dave's local, and he's a great comedian.
And Matt Holt was the opener.
Oh.
Yeah.
And what'd you think?
I laughed so hard. I kept hitting my head on the metal pole. I was at like table 33 where the metal pole is. And I was like, oh my God, this is so painful, but so amazing. But also, I'm like looking around, and I kept watching what was going on. Like, again, I didn't know him at the time, but Joel And I was watching all them guys, and I was like, okay, so they took tickets, they seated people. When the show started, the lights turned down.
You're watching how the show is managed,
the
right?
whole thing, yeah. And so then I was like, okay, we can do this. I can do this. I just need a couple girlfriends to help me.
Sure.
And I talked to Matt. Of course, Dave had like a super long line, so I didn't want to wait in line. So I went and talked to Matt because he had less people.
Sure.
And he gave me his card. He goes, yeah, get a hold of me. Maybe I can help you put on a show. Which now I know they hear that all the time.
Right.
But then when I actually called, he's like, holy shit, you're serious.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So our very first weekend was at that theater you were at. We sold out 2 shows Friday and 2 shows Saturday.
On your first show.
On my very first weekend. And it was just me and him. I did like 20 minutes and then he did like an hour. And then I was hooked. I was like, okay, we're doing this.
Do you know you bypassed a whole lot of shit that most people go through?
I know now.
I mean, doing open mics for 12 other open micers where nobody's laughing.
Right.
I mean, usually people do that for years before they have big shows with packed audiences that are laughing. I mean, you sidestepped the whole thing.
I did. I know. And I feel super fortunate, but also I don't ever want anyone to think like it was on purpose and I thought I was better than anyone because I just didn't know.
That's fine. It's just bad karma. Some shit's going to happen to you. You're going to be on stage and some shit's going to happen.
It's going to catch up to me.
Yeah, I think it almost has to because the rest of us were out there suffering.
Called fucking coronavirus. That's what it is.
Yeah. Remind me to sneeze on you before you leave.
Believe me, I got like $12,000 of tickets in Eventbrite I have to refund. And I'm like, oh, how does that work? I don't have $12,000 anymore.
Well, they gave it to you and you already spent it?
Eventbrite sends you your money as people are buying tickets. They give you like a percentage of it.
Yeah.
Well, the comedy series, now that we're working every weekend, we have ongoing operating expenses. We have, first of all, we have an office that we rent. We also have utilities. We pay for radio advertising. Just 2 weeks ago, I spent $900 in Facebook ads. Well, that money automatically comes out. So, I mean, and I'm not whining because I know people are in a way hell of a lot more hurt than I am, but there's some problems out there. Like, it's hard to swallow.
Yeah. You know, I owned a business for 30 years, and you have to take the bad times for the good.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
why you have to be really profitable in the good times, because there's going to be bad times. I don't care what industry it is. There are going to be times, there's going to be months. There's going to be 6 months, and you think, why am I even doing this?
Well, every year you come into summer, June, July, August, and that's like the quiet time. And the comedy series just turned 4 years old. Right. And we are finally starting to like tread on some good water. And then it just all crumbled.
You know, that reminds me, I should apologize to you because I double booked myself and I had to pull out of one of your shows.
You did.
I know, I felt so bad.
And then all you do in the beginning is harass me that I never hire you.
Well,
you're on the blacklist.
The second show I was ever invited to be on, I go and win the contest at the first show. 6 months later, I get on the second show. But I double booked. You know what? In my 6 years doing comedy, I pulled out of 2 shows. One, I was really sick. Aww. That one I double booked, and I was supposed to feature for Billy, and he was going to record.
Aww.
And he wanted he wanted to make sure that...
he knew.
Well, and he wanted to make sure there was somebody up there that was going to make sure the crowd was laughing before they brought him up. And he, you know, we're buddies. And I said, yeah, okay, sure, I'd be glad to do that.
Yeah.
Not thinking about it too much, not putting it on my calendar, put you down. And then I kind of look at Billy's and I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And I called him up. I said, dude, I don't even know what to do.
Aww.
He said, go do her show. I said, no, I can't.
Of course he would say that.
Well, we traveled and toured the country for 3 months. Yeah. I mean, I felt really, really bad. Anyhow, I apologize. That's not like me, and I feel bad. And you never had me on another show, and now I've retired for stand-up. So, all right. But you'll get yours. I'm just saying, you're next. Hey, I wanted to ask you about Frankenmuth, about living in Frankenmuth. Did you live on a farm outside of Frankenmuth?
Yeah, I grew up in a small town next door called Millington.
I know Millington.
Yeah,
sure.
That's actually where I'm from, and it's kind of a funny joke I do in the beginning because whenever I'm at a club or outside of my little area, I get introduced to the stage that I'm from Frankenmuth. Then when I come out, I let them know I'm actually from this other crap hole called Millington.
Yeah.
And, you know, Millington people... Some of them get a little defensive, but I'm just kidding. It's just a joke, and it's a way for me to bring attention to that great little town. It's awesome.
I think it's great.
And so, this last summer, we actually moved to Frankenmuth. So now I am a Frankenmuth Eagle. My kids are going to school there. And
you and your husband moved there.
We did move there, and it's been interesting. It is definitely, the culture in that town is unlike anything I've ever seen before.
It is.
Ever.
It's it's a little German town that is really high on tourism. They have
Pays
tons
a lot of the
people.
bills.
You know, I know people from Atlanta that come up every year to go to Frankenmuth. And yeah, everything is, I mean, it's old world German architecture throughout the whole town. And the town is run by a close-knit group of German men that run the businesses. Now, I did some business in Frankenmuth, but the only way you do business in Frankenmuth is if you do business with people who are in Frankenmuth.
Yep.
And they will pay extra money to do business with you, but they're extremely loyal.
They are.
Honestly, I had to, in order to do business in Frankenmuth, I had to do business with the local electrician. I think it was, I'm going to say it was Nectarline Electric.
Yeah. My buddy Nate.
Yeah.
Great people.
Yeah, they are great people. And you know what? He never really price checked me. He just assumed that I was being fair with him. And if Nate took me in, we're getting that job. They're not bidding it out. He's getting the job, and he gets to pick who's going to do the job with him. But that's the nature of that little town.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a town of maybe 20,000? Maybe.
I know. I don't know the numbers, but yeah, I got super fortunate. The lady that does my website and all my graphics, she went to Frankenmuth. She's a big Frankenmuth person. She actually runs 80s Fest and Big Country Fest. That's her family that puts those on.
Right.
She is the one that introduced me to enough people that we sold out all those shows. And again, I'm from Millington. It's not that they don't let outsiders in. They do, but you just got to work so hard to earn their trust.
How far away is Millington? 10 miles?
Yeah, about 15 minutes.
You know, well, we just went through a big thing talking about how Michael Moore isn't from Flint, and he claims he is. He's really from Davison.
Right.
And I hate him for it. So I think you're doing right by telling people, no, I'm from Millington. Because you are or you aren't.
Right.
Especially Frankenmuth, because that's a close community.
Yeah. So they've been we've had the mayor at some of our shows. Now, you know, what we do when I'm outside, now the comedy series is reaching outside of Frankenmuth to several towns.
Right.
And I would say most of our shows could be rated as a light R rating. We're like Bush Light.
You wouldn't let me on for a while because you thought I was too dirty.
Yeah. So
was I too dirty?
They loved you.
Yeah, I know that.
It was the right audience. In some cases, yes, you would have been.
Really?
Definitely.
Because I don't think I'm gross dirty.
No, that's not the case at all.
I use dirty words in my comedy.
Yeah, there's a lot of trigger words in Frankenmuth that we haven't been able to get them past. No,
like Jew?
A lot of people.
Should I say that? Just saying. I think there's a reason you have the largest Christian Christmas store right out at the peak. You got to pass it to get into the town.
You actually go through a zapper that it's invisible as you go through.
When I was doing sales, I had a Jewish man in from the East Coast, and I thought, they have really good chicken in this little town coming back from Saginaw. Let's go to Frankenmuth, not thinking that he was Jewish, and not thinking we're going to pass the biggest Christmas store in the world with all these Christian symbols. Is that out there just to scare people away? I mean, is there a reason that is positioned where it's positioned?
No.
And they light up the crosses and Jesus all year long?
They're proud of it.
Yeah, I know. I'm wondering if it's like, beware.
And this is...
Are there any Jewish people that live in Frankenmuth?
There's gotta be.
Come on, no. Do you know one?
I do not.
All right.
But
just saying.
It is a diverse town. Our neighbors are Asian. I'm just saying, I
bet they aren't Asian Jews. Could be wrong, but don't know a lot of Asian Jews.
I'm really, really hoping that the older gentleman that lives next to me, he's talking about downsizing and selling his house. And I'm trying to find a Mexican or black family to move in there.
You're trying to diversify your neighborhood by kicking out your neighbors.
Yeah, I live on a corner, so it'd be the Asian family, the comedians, and then a Mexican family. I'm going to turn it into the ghetto right there.
Oh, there you go.
I'm just kidding.
Starting with people from Millington. We're starting at the bottom.
They're like, we shouldn't have let her in. Yeah. We shouldn't have let her in.
Every which way is punching up for me. I'm from Millington. Don't give me shit.
No, here's the other dynamic that most people don't think about. In Frankenmuth, there is the biggest per capita business owners as the adults. So like when a lot of people own a small business or a large business in that town. So you think about the culture, and this is just a different thought, and I haven't done all the research and I don't have all the big words for this, but it's something that I appreciate as a small business owner. My kids are now in a school where every single class they're in, there's several other kids that parents own a business.
That are entrepreneurs.
So the conversation is just different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's really great.
It's a different type of mindset when you're not punching a clock and you have to work every day to make sure money keeps coming in. It makes you different and your kids. Yeah,
having owned a business for a number of years, I go to a lot of these small towns and there's all these, I'm going to call them hobbyists. They think they're business owners, but they're really, buying old furniture and painting it white and selling it. But they really aren't making any money.
Right.
Really, it's a hobby. Mm-hmm. They're just making enough to pay their rent and buy a sandwich. It's really not a business. Right. But Frankenmuth, those are all businesses. Those are all businesses. And Frankenmuth does a really good job of bringing in tourists.
Yes.
So there's a customer base to serve. You got to do something other than eat chicken. You can't eat chicken all day.
No. And actually, that's what we're working on right now at the comedy series. 1-800-FUNTOWN is Frankenmuth's calling card. If you go on their website, it's everywhere. We're 1-800-FUNTOWN. But everything is family oriented. Everything. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because there isn't. It's wonderful. I have 2 kids. Like, it's important to me. We have something to do all the time in that town. But the comedy series is trying to break in to Frankenmuth and open the door a little bit on some adult entertainment.
Well, it's hard to do a lot of G-rated comedy. I mean, you can do it.
Oh, yeah.
But most comedians I know can probably give you 5 minutes.
That's it.
Yeah. It's really hard to get 15 good minutes of clean comedy, and that's not the state of the art, if you would.
Right, exactly.
So that's kind of a tough get. So you almost have to change the culture rather than change the comedy to get good comics. Is that what you're thinking?
Right, and that's what I'm trying. I'm really trying to get the culture in Frankenmuth to understand that if you don't like it, then stay away. It's okay, but there's a lot of people that do like it and do want it. Like
maybe you can have like grown-up night or something. Name a theme to what you're doing.
Yeah,
that implies
the comedy
that it's
shows.
adult.
They know, we've kept them pretty light R, but you can still swear. You can still.
Yeah, I swore a lot, and they loved it. They roared.
Right, they loved it. So, but the thing is that in the entertainment world, there's a lot of other options out there. That I'm trying to get Frankenmuth to okay, let's try some other things too.
Right.
And we're working on it. It'll be a minute, and especially now everything's on hold because of this damn coronavirus.
Right.
But,
well, I think you're very strategic from a business standpoint. And when I belonged to a small golf club, I used to tell the people on the board that, look, these people are our customers, even though they're members. They're our customers from the time they park their car till the time they get in their car and leave.
Yeah.
What are they going to do in between? And if they're walking around the clubhouse, jumping on a cart, golfing, and walking around the clubhouse and leaving, we're missing opportunities.
Yeah.
We want to, first of all, get them in the clubhouse, and we want to have something for them to do and a reason for them to stay. The longer they stay, the more drinks they buy, they're going to decide to eat there. I said, we need to have theme nights. We need to have nights where we're going to do the Super Bowl party at the club and bring them in for that. You need to have other events and reason for people to spend money and not take money from them, but give them good value for their dollar. But when people come to Frankenmuth, they're coming to be entertained.
Yes.
And the restaurants, folks, in Frankenmuth are unreal. Huge restaurants,
amazing.
All theme-based, all family-based. You get a big, typically a big chicken family dinner served in big bowls with, it's just a big family dinner.
Well, and people don't even understand what a family-style dinner is anymore. Like, your family gets seated, and they bring you out servings of each dish, and you can get it refilled.
Yes.
And it's on a turntable, and you keep eating and eating and eating and eating.
Hey, I always wondered this. If they bring out 10 pieces of chicken and you only eat 5, what happens to the other 5 pieces when they go back into the kitchen?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I would. I'm thinking they're coming out on the platter of the people right next to me. I'm going to hit that microwave and, Look, who knew?
Guess
we have more chicken. Who wants more chicken? I don't know. Tomorrow we got chicken stew. It was on, but once it hits your table.
Yeah. No, they let you can get to-go boxes.
Yeah. No. Not the stuff you take with you, but the stuff that goes back to the kitchen. Did they reserve that?
No, of course not.
You think that all goes in the dumpster?
Yes.
You naive girl,
I do.
Yeah. You've never worked in a restaurant, have you?
I'm only speaking for Bavarian Inn, who is my favorite. I definitely think that's the case.
Yeah. Is the Bavarian Inn? It's not the white one. It's the other one.
Yeah.
That's my favorite too.
Bavarian Inn's amazing.
Yeah. You know what? My kids used to want to go there on their birthday.
Oh.
And down in the basement, it's just like a big hallway with restrooms, and also has just all these trinket shots. And they just draw everybody downstairs to do some shopping and buy a souvenir for Frankenmuth.
Yeah.
But we used to laugh because I always thought it stunk down there.
It does smell weird.
And I'd say, everybody's going down to the basement to fart. It's like, you eat upstairs, Grandpa and Grandma farting down the basement.
Because there's no bathrooms on the main level.
I know.
You have to go to the basement.
I don't think they ventilate as well as they could. Just saying, Frankenmuth. If you're listening, ventilate.
They just put in those. It's been a big thing because in Frankenmuth, the city requires everything to keep its original outer visual on the town.
Architecture, the German architecture.
And the Bavarian Inn just redid their bathrooms downstairs, and it's those really fancy ones where it's all one counter, and you hold your hands under the water, then under the soap, then under the water again, then under the dryer, and it's all, you don't have to touch anything.
I need that here for my guests.
It's crazy, and it must have been crazy expensive, and everybody's like, whoa, you walk into this old building, and then there's this super
high-tech
modern
stuff, yeah.
It's crazy.
Really.
It's crazy.
Yeah, the wait staff also wears German Bavarian style.
Lederhosen and dirndls, yeah.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
See, you even know. I don't know what they're called.
So
Can I get some of those to have here just in case somebody wants to play?
So the Lederhosen are the men's outfits.
Oh, no, I don't care about that.
Leather shorts, and rumor has it that the cornstarch used in the kitchens is also used in the leather shorts.
What for?
Chafing. Because they're walking around in them all day.
And these Germans got fat thighs, don't they? That's chafing. If you're skinny enough, your thighs don't even rub. I don't know.
So if you ever go in a bathroom in Frankenmuth and you see white powder laying on the floor, it's not what you think.
Pants?
It's not what you think.
Yeah. That came out of Jeff's pants. He's shaking his leg in here. What are you doing?
Not what you think.
And what is the girl's outfit called?
The dirndls.
Dirndls. Mm-hmm. All right.
I have a funny dirndl story.
Do you have a dirndl at home?
So I don't anymore. I used to.
Oh my God.
Used to.
You're so hot.
Those like zip up the front,
Do they zip down the front too?
Yes, it zips down the front. But that little shirt thing that covers the breasts.
Yes, but the breasts aren't like behind the bib part. The breasts are still
they're on top
out
of
there.
it.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like
well, that's just a
milk
teeny
maiden kind of thing. I'm just saying, it is really. Is that wrong? Is that wrong
you're
to
right.
say?
You're
All
right. You're right.
All
And most people don't understand. That's just a little teeny tiny shirt that goes right under your bra. That doesn't go all the way down. And then it zips up. So like those meet right together. Oh. And I was wearing one that was way too tight one time, and I had to go to a conference and represent the group I was in Frankenmuth.
And you were busting out.
On the way home, I couldn't stand it anymore. I was like, oh, I gotta unzip this thing. I unzipped it, and I was so comfortable. And it was funny because it looked like I had a surgery. There was a zipper mark all the way down.
Oh my God!
But
and when the cop pulled you over, he was like, "Listen, lady."
I stopped to get gas.
Oh no!
And I just didn't even think about it.
Come on, you got out like that?
Yeah, and then this weird, creepy truck followed me. So I stopped.
It was guys with lederhosen.
Yeah, and he pulled up right next to my window, and I rolled my window down. He's like, "Hey, I'm staying over here at the Comfort Inn room, blah blah blah.
My name is Steve.
If you'd like to come over." And I was like, "God, that was weird." I just like pulled away, and then I looked down. And I was like, "Oh my God!"
You were advertising,
Melissa. Come on. I'm very irresponsible.
No, well, hey, if you ever need, you said you're short on cash right now. For your shows.
Yikes.
You might pull that out of the drawer.
I might need to get that out.
Work it. Well, that's a lot of information.
That was a lot. I probably shouldn't have shared that.
No.
We should edit that out.
No, I appreciate that.
Why are you sweating?
I'm not. Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding.
No, that's good. So that's what's happening up in Frankenmuth. It's
Frankenmuth.
a theme city.
It is.
And you've moved there. And you are married, and you have two small boys.
Yeah.
How old are your sons?
Right now they're 5 and 7.
Oh, my God.
We've just begun. The hostage situation is still undergo.
I wrote a book about that.
I do know that.
Did I ever give you a copy of my book?
No, you shouldn't. You should
Look out, I'm
sign it.
parenting here.
You should sign it.
I can do that.
Okay, because I don't want just a book without a signature. Because I'm probably not going to read it.
I sell these books. This is how I pay my rent. You know this, right? That's fine. It just costs more with a signature. That's
okay.
all.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you know I was a single parent?
I did not. I think we've talked about this.
Maybe briefly. Back in the 80s when my kids were 2 and 4, when I got divorced, I wanted the kids.
Yeah.
And I was going to fight for full custody. I decided to only fight for half. And I was a pretty decent parent. And but I think half of being smart is knowing what you're dumb at.
Yeah.
And I was willing to admit that I really didn't know what I was doing with kids. And so if something didn't work, I changed it.
Oh.
Instead of being stubborn going, well, this should make them want to go to bed.
Right.
I'm going, this isn't making them want to go to bed.
Right.
I got to find out a different way to do it. So I kept changing things until things were working. And I'm not kidding you. By the time my kids were like 4 and 6 or 5 and 7, I had girlfriends or friends of mine, their wives would call me up and say, how are you doing this? How do you get your kid to do that? They did that so well. And if I introduced you to my children, even at that age, they'd shake your hand, say, nice to meet you. They're very polite, well-mannered. Awesome. If I said, come here, they'd drop what they're doing and they would run to me and say, what do you need? Yeah. They would do what I told them when I told them. And so people were looking for tips on parenting. And I thought, you know what? If I ever get a chance, instead of answering all these phone calls, I'm going to write all this down. Yeah. And so once I got out of business, I decided to write that down. And I was going around lecturing on parenting for a while.
That's awesome.
And blogging on parenting, which is really weird for a man to be talking about parenting toddlers.
Right.
But it was about potty training and shyness and all those kinds of things.
That's awesome. That's a great perspective, too, that people need.
Well, and now guys are looking for custody for their young kids. I went down to...
and, of course, you're not saying that moms are the lesser of the parent.
No, I'm saying if you're going to be a parent, you ought to know what you're doing. And,
exactly.
And you don't have to know anything except how to have sex to have kids. Doesn't mean you're qualified to do anything.
Right.
And your parents might have been lousy parents.
Might have been.
I'm not saying... I don't think my parents were very good parents.
Gotcha.
But I was opened up, what's going to work. And,
right.
And so I think it's valuable information if you're going to be a parent, and especially if you're going to be a single parent.
Yeah.
And nowadays...
What a tough job.
Well, you know what? It's kind of a perfect storm for parenting right now because people now follow their careers. So they might relocate and they aren't by their parents or grandparents. And it used to be Grandma and Grandpa lived next door or around the block or at least in the same city. And so you saw your parents all the time while you were parenting and they could coach you. And you'd say, I don't know what to do, but Jimmy just won't eat his food. And they'd coach you.
Yeah.
Well, that's gone if you leave the state.
Right.
You aren't talking to mom and dad every day, probably, most cases.
Right.
And then half the people or more are getting divorced. Okay. Now you got to manage kids by yourself. And I know your husband's on the road, so he's gone a lot. And that's even more difficult. And to try and be good parent and bad parent and get them managed and get everything lined up.
Right.
And how to figure this out without somebody to go to. So my book is it's a quick reference book. It's like 4 pages. If they won't stay in their bed at night, here's 4 pages. Here's the 4 basic rules. Here's a little funny story about it, why it worked for me. Here, try this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you just look it up, you read the thing, go, okay. 10 minutes later, I got an idea what might work. So it's been out there on Amazon at Amazon.com. Look Out, I'm Parenting Here by Ted Moss.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
There's a plug for me. Yay. Buy my book. Please. No, but I don't worry about that too much. People ask me if I would ever do comedy about my kids. And I said, it was just hard work. It really wasn't that funny. Now, do you do comedy about your kids?
I do have a little bit, only because I get hired for so many clean shows that I, with the local churches and stuff, I had to come up with some clean comedy. And people relate to the kid stuff. And mine are still little. Now, here's something I never thought of is... like my oldest is in 2nd grade. And he came home the one day and he said, Mom, Charles was telling me that his mom was watching you on TV. And like that just like blew his mind. Well, we can stream everything through our TV now, and I do have a YouTube channel, Melissa Hager TV, and I'm actively building my YouTube channel. Right. And so they probably were watching some of that, and there's some stand-up on there, and I thought, boy, I would we were really private. I grew up on a farm. We were really private. Everything was very quiet. Don't make a big deal. Someone's going to notice us.
Right.
Blend in. I could not imagine going to school and somebody saying, "Hey, I saw your mom on TV." I would have had a heart attack.
You would have freaked out. Yeah. Like,
so that must be weird.
You're famous.
Yeah, that must be so weird for them, but I don't know. Maybe
it's kind of cool, though.
Kind of, except
cool.
for I know what it is.
Have you ever been recognized? Have you ever been out someplace and got recognized?
Yeah, for
sure. How is that?
Different. It's different. But it's just, that's a community thing. Like, I keep trying to tell people, two of my best friends live in Georgia, Atlanta. And they're like, come down here, put on shows, come down here. I'm like, part of the reason my shows work so well up here is because I know everybody. I've been up here my whole life. And we just did the local farm tractor implement company that sells tractors to all the farmers. Yeah. We just did their holiday party.
Really?
And I knew I grew up with most of them, and then the other ones in there I knew from being a kid and going in with my dad. Yeah. Like, no one else is going to get those jobs.
Well, is it easier to perform for people that know you or don't know you?
For me, it's people that know me. I love being in those crowds because I feel more comfortable. When I'm at Mark Ridley's or, one night stands, it's awkward at first until I get moving.
Really?
Because I don't get the big reactions that I do from the crowd work with the people I know, because I know that Sammy just ran over his kid's bike because I saw it on Facebook and I can make fun of him and the whole crowd laughs.
Right.
I don't know the people that personally. You know what I mean?
No, I think that's a great point. I've actually only performed for 4 people in my whole career, stand-up career, that knew me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One time I had my son-in-law, because I happened to be out in Seattle, and I was just looking for something to do. He said, "Do you care if I come along?" I said, "No, it's just an open mic." So he watched that. And then 2 guys out of it was 2 or 3 guys out of my golf league showed up at one show one time. And afterwards they said, "Hey, dude, you're kind of funny." I said, "Yeah, I know. I'm hilarious. I've been telling you.
I'm awesome.
Hilarious." But every other time, I just soon not.
Oh, yes.
I just soon be in front of strangers.
I don't know if you remember them, but Steve and Dawn Delacruz, Dawn has the oxygen that she wears. Definitely was at the show you were in.
Yeah.
They have not missed one of my shows in 3 years.
Wow.
Like, she is horrified right now that there's nothing going on. She could mouth every single one of my jokes. Like, my rehearsed jokes, she knows them all, but they come to laugh.
Well, let's give her a shout out because she's going to be listening to this show.
Yeah, definitely she will be. She definitely will be.
My favorite Melissa.
Hi, Dawn.
Glad you're listening, Dawn. Tell your friends. Share, please, on Facebook.
I miss her terribly. Dawn and Steve, I miss them terribly. I'm just used to seeing them 2 or 3 times a weekend. Yeah. Like that. They've become family,
Yeah, can we talk about your husband? Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Your husband is a long-haul truck driver, is he not?
Yes.
And when Billy and I were on the road, and we spent, 90 days in an RV going from truck stop to truck stop.
Oh, my God.
And doing comedy across the whole country. It was fun. We did everything from Key West to L.A. and back.
That's so cool.
It was cool. Every day was a new town, new show. Mm-hmm. If the show went well, they might say, "Stay over till tomorrow. We'll do another show." I mean, we did Houston and San Antonio and L.A. and Vegas and New Orleans. It was fun. It was really a lot of fun. But I had never lived on the road. I had never stopped at a truck stop in my entire freaking life. And we're staying at all these different truck stop places with all these truckers and stuff. I'll tell you what, that's a different world.
It is. It is. When you're on the phone at 10 o'clock at night talking to your husband because he's just starting his day, but you hear like a knock on the window, you're like, who is that?
It's one of those hookers at the truck stop.
Just one of them girls trying to see if somebody's awake in there.
Oh, my God.
And it's like, put her on the phone. I'll talk to her. I would love to chat with her. Now, thankfully, in the trucking world, too, there's owner-operators. They own their trucks.
What's your husband?
And he works for USF Holland, which is a union company. Okay. Which is, again, growing up on a farm, we never had health insurance. I didn't know what the hell a union was.
Right.
And so, now he's in the Teamsters. That's been a very interesting thing for me to learn. Of course, my my automotive industry family, my mom's whole side of the family is from the UAW. They're like, yeah, go Rob!
Union!
And I'm like, what does this mean? So they drive all night, and then he gets a hotel every day. Based on where they're at, he gets put in a hotel, so he gets a breakfast, and then he can sleep in a bed.
Hold on, you're saying the whole company does that, or does he have a partner he drives with?
Nope, USF Holland, the whole company does that. They're an amazing company. We're really lucky, because he spent his first 4 years over the road sleeping in a truck, and that is a miserable existence in my opinion.
Oh, and he doesn't have to sleep in a truck anymore.
Now he gets to sleep in a bed. He gets a shower in
it's
nice. Just a whole different
there's
thing.
Showers at truck stops, but they're miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
it's not
definitely good. Which again, some owner operators choose that life because they own their truck and that's what they got to do.
Well, it is a life too. It's not a career.
Yeah,
and a lot of these guys are only getting 2-3 days off a month.
And most of them are single. I've learned that. A lot of the
there's
truckers.
A reason for that.
Yeah, that's a really hard
on the road.
family life for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah. You got to be okay with being alone and being on the road.
Yeah.
Because it's just one truck stop after another truck stop. It's just, I was thinking when I was on the road, I love the trucks. I love these big trucks. I think they'd be so fun to drive. And I like driving. When Billy and I went across the country, he drove like 150 miles. I drove everything else. Honestly,
really?
To me, it's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
I'm in a comfortable seat. I like the mental puzzle of figuring out the traffic. I don't speed. I don't tailgate. I'm just cruising. But I kind of like doing this puzzle while I'm listening to the radio or doing whatever. It just keeps my brain occupied.
Very cool.
Yeah. I just drove all the way from Orlando back here about a week or so ago by myself. And I stopped and took 2 naps on the way back, But because I enjoy driving. I mean, I don't mind doing that. It's actually fun. So I thought I would like to be a trucker. And then I found out that I would never be home. I'd be gone.
Not if you want to make any real money.
Yeah. Now, how often is your husband home?
He is home every Sunday and most of Monday.
Oh, that's pretty good. Every Sunday, that's good.
Yep. So he's on a weekly out.
Oh, he has a standard route he drives.
Yep. So and then how it works is they have to have like a 48-hour reset every so many hours. So sometime
kind of like airplane pilots, they got to keep them fresh.
Exactly. So it works out. I mean, the DOT regulates them pretty harshly, especially now they're on electronic logs, so you can't fudge your numbers. Like truck drivers used to be able to fudge their numbers and like skip their breaks and stuff.
Sure. But now they're tracking them.
Now they're tracking them. So like they have to have a break every so often. They have to have this 48-hour reset every week. And which the guys over the road, that's why they team drive. There's partners. So then the other one takes over and they go. So when his wheels are moving, that's when he's making money. So they want him moving. Like a lot of people don't know this. Now I joke, we call him shit in a bag Bob, but that's not a real story.
Well, I don't know. It sounds like a real one to me if you know these truckers.
It's a joke.
I know there's pee in a bottle Benny. There's a lot of those guys out there.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing, yeah.
Shit in a bag Bob was a joke I did for a really long time until people really started asking my husband about it too much. And he's like, can you please...
is your name Bob?
Please stop calling me shit in a bag Bob. I was like, okay, sorry. But yeah, pee in a bottle Benny. They all, like, my husband takes a Gatorade bottle. And again, it's an it's an emergency plan only.
Right.
But while they're driving, they're making money. Like
I know. If you pass a trucker and he has a soothing look on his face.
Well, imagine if you're going through heavy traffic in a big city to get off of the expressway to stop, go to the bathroom, get back on. That could kill an hour.
I know. So, but they do stop for gas and they do stop for food.
For sure.
But I think a good tip is never pick up a half full Mountain Dew bottle on an exit ramp. No, that's probably
terrible idea.
Probably not the dew you want.
No, definitely not.
All right. All right. I want to do, you know what? We got to finish up, but I want to do one more thing. And I always do this with everybody because I'm old and I'm pathetic. But I'm single.
Okay.
And I'm dating. And I've been dating online for 6 years. And I have yet to find a good companion.
I'm sure it's them, not you.
It's her, isn't it? It's not me. It's not me. It's her, isn't it? It's her, right?
That's what I'm thinking. Exactly. Exactly. No, I think it probably is me. I think my standards are too high.
Well,
I think I'm too picky. My vision is still too good. I actually, you know what? I was out on a date recently, and the girl asked me she said, what are your disqualifiers? What are the things that you just will not tolerate? And I said, I don't think I have any of those. I will tolerate a lot of things if there's other good features. But if you don't have the good features and you just got the bad ones, I'm going to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was a nice enough girl, but...
There's always a but.
Yeah, well, she had a lot of drama. And she had, I'm going to move out of my house. And she said, do you want to hear about my ex? And I'm like, no.
No.
And she said, no, I should tell you this really. And I said, no. Honestly, I told her 4 times no. And then she told me anyhow. And I'm like, all right.
In the world.
Yeah, I don't think we're going out again. But I'm not saying that. I'm going, yeah, all right. I guess I'm going to hear this shit.
Yeah.
And I don't care about your ex. I don't want to tell you about mine. You want to hear about mine? Let me tell you about my battles. You know what? So I need somebody positive, upbeat, kind of happy. I don't want them to be intimidated. I also need somebody who's not shy. If you're shy, you're going to hate me. We're going to go someplace. I'm going to be talking shit with people, and you're going to be standing in the corner. It's not going to be comfortable. So I need a good match. And I don't seem to be having very much luck. My qualifications are pretty bad. I'm 67 years old. Not a lot of people looking for a happy-go-lucky 67-year-old guy. Just saying. It's not what they're imagining. Everybody thinks it's online shopping with unlimited supply.
Not.
Wish list. But it isn't like that. It's every relationship. There's good things and bad things. And it's a matter of how much of this shit can you tolerate in order to enjoy this stuff over here. And that's true with everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm asking you, what should I do? Seriously, what should I do to try and get a lady in my life? Because honestly, I really miss that, and I'd really like to have that.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that I am definitely not an expert in that field because I have the most unconventional marriage that there is. People ask me all the time, they're like, you're alone 95% of the time. How do you even call that a marriage? And it works really well for us. I had 2 kids. My husband did not come to one ultrasound. He barely made it to the hospital. And I love him to death. We both met later in life. I was in my 30s. I was in my late 20s. He was in his late 30s. We had both been very independent, no kids. It is really an amazing match. Now, there's times I'm very frustrated and I wish I had more help. But then there's other times where I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad I'm alone today.
Yeah, I do whatever I want. But see, that match worked out. But my question is, how do I find that person that's that unique combination that will work with me?
So let me ask you this. When you're looking online.
Yes.
Now 6 years in, you said? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Have you come across some of the same people? Like they come up again?
They're up. Some of them they're up still. I don't know why you say again. It's like me. I'm still up.
So it's
my picture's still up there.
Okay, yeah.
And some are on multiple sites like me. But I think if you're on multiple sites and you catch me on multiple sites, we're both on multiple sites. It's ice fishing. You're just digging holes.
You just still are.
Well, you don't know where the fish are.
So what about people actually setting you up with live people? What if you take a break off of there for a bit?
You know what? That's an interesting idea. And I've had a couple of those offers. And you tell me this is wrong thinking, but it seems to me that the odds are whoever they set you up with is not going to work.
Okay.
That there's probably a 90% chance, 9 out of 10 times, it's going to be like, you know what, there's a lot of good things, but just no chemistry. How is that different
from what you're doing?
It's different like this, because the person in the middle that set you up is your friend and their friend. And anytime this happens, one of the people think it's working. And the other one doesn't think it's working. So there's always a good guy and an asshole. So now this person in the middle is like, why don't you like so-and-so? And what are you going to say? Well, because she's a whiny bitch. What do you mean? You can't say that.
Maybe you have to.
No, you can't. So all of a sudden, not only did I not get a partner, I've alienated my friend. And now they invite me to a party and this person shows up and you got all these awkward things. It's like, I was sitting here one day and see that brown house right out that window, right down there? There's a single lawyer lady that was probably 52 years old living there. She said hi to me online. And I'm like, hi. And she said, you sound interesting and you're attractive. And no. I said, yeah, and I'm looking at your house. She said, what? I said, I'm your neighbor.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, because I can't date my neighbor.
Yeah.
If I date my neighbor, it doesn't work out. still my neighbor.
Yeah.
It's going to suck because somebody's going to be a bad guy. So
how bad do your relationships end? I mean, I
don't have any.
5 people at my wedding reception that I had slept with. Like, my
all
stuff.
right. Well, you're from a small town. I mean, what the hell? There weren't a lot of choices.
They were my cousins.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Snowball, rotate.
That bad. Why does stuff end that bad? It should just, okay, hey, this isn't working. Talk it out and move on.
Yeah, well, you try to go through the it's not you, it's me conversation. Yeah, people don't buy that shit.
Because I think the approach could be softer, maybe. That just sounds like,
okay,
perhaps.
So you got a friend you want to set me up with?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Is your mom single?
She is.
All right.
Perhaps my friend I'm thinking of.
Is she bubbly? Is she smoking hot? Has she been on TikTok? I really like the cute girls on TikTok.
Oh.
Maybe a little bit too
I got
young.
a big TikTok. You should see my TikTok. It's insane.
Yeah.
No, my mom's an accountant. She has a great job. She's independent. But again, she has had trouble dating because she has a certain standard she's looking for. And she doesn't seem to be able to find that, you know?
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm going to meet her standard either. You know? In the tuxedo.
No.
My problem is sometimes I'm too funny too fast.
Yeah.
You know, people don't want to hear dick jokes right off the bat.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to work up to that.
Might be a good one for you to go out with. I'm just saying.
All right.
And I don't even like you that much anyway. So if we become not friends, it's not that
you were
big
on
of a
one
deal.
show, dude. And then you stood me up. What the hell? What kind of guy are you? She's going to walk out of here going, I'm never doing that shit.
Just kidding.
All right, well, let's end this thing. You got anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
I wish I did have something to plug, but I just go to thecomedyseries.net to see when we start doing shows again.
I am so glad you came in here.
Oh, this has been so much fun.
Oh, thank you. No.
What a great studio and a great thing you're doing for people that have something interesting to listen to.
Yeah, this is interesting as hell.
Hats off to you, man.
Yeah, we'll see. We got 3 listeners that thought this was interesting. The feedback is, it was okay. I was bored. I forgot to turn it off.
Just to clear up a couple things, I have not slept with any of my cousins. My grade school principal does still conversate with me, and I will never steal a car again, I promise.
That's on the record.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Melissa, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're a great guest.
Good job.
I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate the fact you came in to talk to me.
Who's your daddy?
It's not me. Well,
not yet.
I haven't met your mother. Maybe your stepdaddy. All right, we're out. Take care, everybody. All righty, we got to get out of here. But I want to give a shout out to everybody that's been listening and sharing the podcast. I appreciate that. And of course, a special thanks to Melissa Hager for being our guest today. Also, I want to mention that TED Talks Too Much has been put on the ultimate list of podcasts to binge listen to during the quarantine. Who knew? You guys apparently are ahead of the curve. But thanks for being here with us. I hope you had fun. But until next time, be safe, be good to each other, and just try to be happy. I'm Ted Moss, and those are my thoughts.